15 rounds complete through 11 different venues, and that brings us to our final venue of the season. And for the final round, round 16 will bring us back to the Golden State for the third and final time of the 2012 season for the AMA Grand National Pro Flat Track Series. The top 3 will go at it for a championship, and that championship will be settled here today. But rest assured, there will be more than those 3, as the best in the business will all battle for the prestigious win at Pomona. Welcome to the Fairplex here in Pomona, California. This is the E3 Spark Plugs Pro AMA Flat Track Nationals, presented by Lucas Oil. Ken Stout and Chris Carr here to call the action for you. An exciting race is about to take place, Chris.
You know, the half mile here at Pomona is actually a 5/8 mile in length horse track. This is going to be very interesting, very unique racetrack for these guys to tackle tonight. They're going to have their hands full.
Let's get it down to Kenny Sargent.
Thanks, Ken. Well, they say in sports that statistics don't tell the whole story, but for tonight's championship race in Pomona, that's exactly what we've got. Your 3 championship contenders, Sammy Halbert, Jake Johnson, and Jared Mees. They're looking for vital statistics, vital points to win the championship, and there's a number of areas on this track where they can do it. And as you know, the one that takes home the most points, they're going to take home that number 1 plate. Those other 2, man, it's a long ride home. So let's take a quick look at the standings. They show Jared Mees holding a 12-point advantage over Sammy Halbert and a 20-point advantage over Jake Johnson. Now, Halbert, he's won 4 races. The Mees has won, while Johnson, he's winless this year. However, keep in mind, Johnson came into Pomona 1 year ago, just 4 points ahead, dominated at the track, and kept the championship, kept Jared Mees at bay. Now, how do you score points? Well, the AMA Flat Track Series pays points for the top 18 positions. 23 for the winner, 19 for second, and 16 for third, and so forth. As you can see there, it's not an overwhelming point payout for a winner versus second or third. The point breakdown rewards consistency. But there is another way to score points, and that's in the dash for cash. 6 of the fastest riders going for a handful of points, and whoever leads the most laps in the 25-lap main event gets 1 bonus point. So a perfect night for a main event win, dash win, and leading the most laps could net a sizable 29 points. And one rider that knows about dominating those vital statistics is the guy to my right, carrying the number 1 plate from 2011, Jake Johnson. You ran away with Pomona with 29 points. You won the race, won the dash for cash, and you led the most laps. You came in with 4-point lead last year. Now you're 20 points down. What makes you think you can win this championship this year?
It's going to be tough, you know, but anything can happen. You know, we seen it earlier this year. Jared had a break at Knoxville and you know, finished last, only got 1 point. So, I mean, anything can happen. It's a long shot, but I have no control over it. The only thing I have control over is to try to go out and win.
Well, the other scenario of the championship contenders, of course, is the number 9, your points leader of Jared Mees. 1 win this year, but the product of consistency. In your mind, what is it that's going to tell you that you're going to walk away from Pomona with this championship?
Well, just keep doing what we're doing. As you mentioned, consistency is the main thing. Of course, I go to every race to win it, but more than anything, we just got to stay consistent. Get in that dash for cash, get top 2 in the heat race. Really, we just got to bring it. 2 tough competitors really wanting that number 1 plate.
Well, of course, the riders sandwiched between Jared Mees and Jake Johnson, the number 7 of Sammy Halbert. 12 points behind Mees, 4 wins this year. With those 4 wins, Sammy, why do you deserve to run away from here with the championship?
Man, it's not about who deserves it. It's about who gets it done. So I'm here. I'm fired up. You know, I got a shot. I'm ready to do it. You know, I just need to go out there and get maximum points. And if I do that, I think I'm going to win this championship if I get max points. But that's not going to be easy. But I'm fired up and ready to do it. So we'll see.
Fellas, I know other motorsports series would love to have 1, 2, 3 contenders running for the championship. That's exactly what we have here. One of these guys going home with that number 1 plate. Who's it going to be? Slammin' Sammy, Jared Mees, Jake Johnson. I don't know, and if I was a betting man, I would not have any clue on who to bet on. So let's find out. Fellas?
All right, thanks a lot, Kenny. Good job there. As you can see, a lot going on here, and let's talk about this particular track as well and what we're going to see here this evening.
Well, this track, 5/8 mile long, flat with long straightaways and very tight corners. Probably the most technically demanding track all year long on what they would call half miles.
All right, heat race number 1 here, Chris. Let's get after this thing. You see the number 1 plate already. Jake Johnson falls back to 3rd place and settles in.
Well, with 2 of our championship contenders in this heat race with Jake Johnson on the 1 and 9 of Jared Mees. And the resurgent Brian Smith, who's riding the Kawasaki this weekend that he's had a lot of success on this year. This is the dirt track old school right here. No blue grooves. They can run it just about anywhere they want. Smith on the missile, the 42 out front. Well, there was 69 of Jethro Halbert out front now. A couple Kawasaki's with number 12, Brad Baker. Our 2 championship contenders are looking at possibly going to a semi here. Not a good start for them tonight.
Well, and it's so cool to see the roost get kicked up. These guys hanging it out here a little bit on this track as well. Like you said, kind of old school, and you can see him, man, just kicking a great roost. And you mentioned Brian Smith on the Kawasaki. First time we've seen him on a Kawasaki on a half mile.
And Smith goes down into the air fence in turn 3. Went around the outside of Brad Baker here going in. Baker doesn't see him and sticks his rear wheel out into his leg, and really Smith, nothing he could do about that one but throw it on the ground.
Yeah, even Baker looked back to see what had happened. I agree 100%. I just didn't, I don't think he knew he was there.
Well, Smith is that Kawasaki's so fast. He got around to the outside of him so quickly. Baker really didn't know he was there. Can't really fault him for that one.
Jethro Halbert still in the hunt right here, really making a good showing. A nice quick correction there in mid-corner. Baker right back out to the front, though.
Baker went really well here last year on the Ducati that Henry Wiles, number 17 in this race, is on. Finished in the top 3. Had a really good run in his rookie season here. He likes the track here at the LA County Fairplex.
And a bit of a surprise to see Jake Johnson and Henry Wiles back where they are. You can see them battling right there for 4th place. Both of those guys have won this event in years gone by.
Struggling to get to the front this year, that's for sure, as the number 12 of Brad Baker flat smokes him. The 69 of Jethro Halbert, older brother to Sammy Halbert, comes in 2nd along with Mees and Wiles with a direct transfer to the final.
All right, let's go to heat race number 2. As you can see, this is going to be a difficult track here for some of the players tonight.
Yeah, the rookie Briar Bauman out to a good start on the 10. The 80 of Steve Bonzi and the 27 of Robbie Pearson battling here early on as Bonzi starts to get away halfway through this. Great battle, though. I mean, I love watching side-to-side action. There's no follow the leader here. These guys are going to have shutoff contests into each corner. And that's what flat track racing is all about.
Yeah, Pearson hanging on there to the position, drives back up underneath him, and that's what you're talking about. I mean, just back and forth, lap after lap, 2 laps to go, and they are still side by side.
Well, this is a great example of a Harley-Davidson versus a twin-cylinder Suzuki here. The Hardys are definitely an advantage through the middle of the corner. You get in a straight line, the non-Hardys go pretty good. So the Hardys are ruling the turns tonight.
Bonzi hangs on, picks up the win here in heat race number 2 in dominating fashion, followed by Pearson Bauman and Brandon Robinson, all advancing into the main. All right, again, we're going to show you highlights here. This of heat race number 3.
Championship contender, the 7 of Sammy Halbert. He wants to get out front and get away from these guys. I think he wants to make a point that he's going to be the guy to beat tonight. This is the 2 of Coolbeth. Coolbeth, it's interesting, has had really an up and down year. Broke his leg early in the year on the cushion at Lima, Ohio. I wouldn't expect this to be one of his better tracks, but man, he's just laying waste in his heat races. The 95 of JD Beach, Carver and Halbert, the 23 and 7 going at it for the battle for 3rd, and here we are toward the end. Halbert needs this spot to get in the dash to gain points. We saw earlier Mees is not in the dash for cash, neither is Johnson. That was a great pass there on the last lap for Halbert to have a shot to narrow that gap significantly going into the main event. That's what he needed to do.
Boy, great racing actions. You talked about before. This is definitely a place where you can feed somebody a wheel. Kenny Coolbeth Jr. doing an awesome job as he drove away. Sammy Halbert also making it to the dash. Welcome back to the Fairplex here at Pomona for the E3 Spark Plugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Lucas Oil. And Chris, we really have a great scenario setting up here for the guy that's second in the points. Halbert really has an opportunity here because number 1 and number 3 did not make it into the dash for cash. He could cut his points deficit down to 7.
You know, prime opportunity for Sammy Halbert to go out and win this 4-lap dash. 4 laps, 5 points. Sure makes his goal of winning the national championship much easier in the main event.
Absolutely, and here is the highlights from our Dash for Cash.
Good start by Halbert. Doing what he needs to do. He's out front. I'm sure he's going to ride these 4 laps as hard as he possibly can to get maximum points.
Yeah, we call it the Dash for Cash. It is all about the points as far as he's concerned with a great opportunity, but nothing comes easy at this level.
A great run around the outside by the 12 of Brad Baker. Kind of gets in high above Sammy, gets it turned early, makes it straightaway as long as possible, but Sammy is not giving up. As we see the track starting to dry out a little bit, as Coolbeth is making up for kind of a dismal start on the early going, but Sammy Halbert up the inside, trying to get a good run on Baker, but Baker gets the better drive off turn 4.
Well, drop that arm down and tuck in, and it's going to be Baker that picks up the win here. And you talked about how solid he was a year ago.
Yeah, this kid goes good around this racetrack. Doesn't matter what kind of bike he's on. Getting a good run there, but Sammy Halbert didn't win, but he got 4 points. His job got a little bit easier toward the title.
Sammy, it wasn't a win for Dash for Cash. You got 4 points. Now you're 8 within Mees.
Yeah, it was good. You know, I was leading there for a while. We thought we might have a shot at getting the win, but Brad's line came in on the high line. He was able to carry a little more momentum than me and get the win. But yeah, it was good. You know, I think we made some progress from the heat race. We got a pretty good setup. Maybe that high line might go away in the main event, but it's also critical that I lead the most laps, so I can't really wait for that stuff to happen. I need to get out front no matter what it takes, lead the most laps and get that extra point for that.
Yeah, and it's all those little points. So he still has an opportunity to lead the most laps, grab that extra point, and that's what you've got to do. I mean, that's how close all of this is. I have a quick question for you, though. He talked about setup. What would you change on this racetrack to make your bike better?
Well, the track is going to dry out, but as we get later in the evening, we might see the moisture come up a little bit. So they're playing a guessing game in the pit area right now. We see a couple areas of the track maybe breaking up a little bit. Might make a little bit of a suspension adjustment to try and grab a hold of the ground a little bit better. But it's a guessing game at this moment. As we have the 42 of Brian Smith, who went down in our first heat race, leading this semi. Started from the second row, and he's leading halfway down the back straightaway. Tell me that bike isn't stout.
Oh, yeah, that thing's got a lot of steam, and we've seen that on the big miles. But as we talked about before, we've never seen him use it here on a half mile.
Well, this isn't your typical half mile. It's got some tight corners, flat, heavy dirt, but he doesn't have to worry about getting a hold of the ground too much here. But these straightaways, you can actually tuck in. You see some of the riders taking their arm down. When I've raced here in the past, I've been able to actually draft a little bit late in the straightaway as the speeds go up over 100 miles an hour. So there's a little bit of mile strategy in this race as well.
Yeah, and I think you brought up a great point. I mean, the fact that there's some heavy dirt here, some loam, if you will, when you get out in that stuff, it will definitely rob horsepower, so he can use that horsepower, get out there where there's a little bit of grip, and make a run.
Exactly. With Smith taking off out front here, we got a great battle with the 98 of Cale Kolkman, the 26 of Brandon Bergen, and the 61 of Dustin Crow. And I know Dustin Crow from Peoria, Illinois, absolutely loves these loose racetracks. He's licking his chops, but the other boys from California are getting the better of him at the moment.
When you talked about it before, there's so many different lines. Some of the guys are apexing early, some are apexing late, some are just running it way wide all the way around the outside and keeping momentum. Oh, and some are trying to kick the others.
I don't think that was an intentional kick, but he's saying, hey, man, I'm over here. Don't forget about me. But, yeah, sometimes you can just kind of dust in here, kind of tiptoeing nice and smooth around the bottom. Many times you get really close to that inside guardrail. There's no bumps down there because the corner is so tight, nobody's really run down there that close. As we see Kolkman here, running it up to the outside part of the track, getting it turned in the heavy dirt, and making the straightaways that much longer going down the straightaway. Just total different ways of looking at getting around this racetrack.
And of course, the guys trying their best to get into this A main. It's so difficult to do. The competition is so tough at this level.
Yeah, this is the battle for third here between Crow and Bergen. And as we go down to getting down to the end of it here, these guys are going to have to cut a very perfect lap in order to get that last spot into the main event.
So easy to make just a little slip, and you can, oh man, and that's exactly what happens right there, and you lose so much ground so quickly.
Yeah, a little bobble coming off the corner here really compounds your speed at the end of the straightaway. I mean, it takes about 9 seconds to accelerate down the straightaway. You lose a couple mile an hour early on, you're not making it back up.
Dustin Crow in third place as he picks up that white flag. 1 lap yet to go, way up there high in the cushion.
Yeah, that was a beautiful shot there of the 98 of Kolkman to the outside as the 42 here of Brian Smith runs it high, deep, running it through the middle of the track for the most part, but we see how dry this surface is getting. It doesn't bode well for Smith on the Kawasaki, but I think what he lacks in traction, he certainly makes up for in straight line speed.
Yeah, man, he reared back on that thing all but did a wheel stand across the stripe, so he's getting some grip, no doubt about that. That is your winner and semifinal number 1. We'll take a look at the top 3. They move on. That is Cale Kolkman and Dustin Crow.
Great run for those guys.
Ryan, needless to say, this wasn't the way you intended to get into this, was it?
Nah, we were supposed to do that in the heat race, but I went and tested the air fence out. It's been a few years since I took an air fence sample. It's all good down there in turn 3, but we're in the main. That's the main thing that counts. We're gonna give them hell.
I know it's a backup bike. Can you put it together to run up front?
Well, we had to run the backup bike in the heat. Now we're back to the primary bike, and as you can see in that semi, it's hauling ass tonight. So we're gonna be on in the main.
Always a sense of humor, right? Testing out the air fence.
Well, you know what? The air fence is a great addition to this sport. It's saved a lot of guys' hides in the last few years.
We'll be right back with semifinal number 2. Stay with us. Once again, we're back here at the E3 Sparkplugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Lucas Oil. We're at the LA County Fairplex here in Pomona, Southern California, where it all goes down. Semifinal number 2, and yes, third in the points. Jake Johnson trying to get into the A main. He is also trying to pick up his first win on the season, and he has quite a streak going. Keep in mind, he has a win every single season going back to 2002, and the only rider in the field to do so. He's definitely in danger of losing that here tonight.
Yeah, this is quite the surprise to see the number 1, the defending champion, running the semi with the championship on the line in the last race of the season, winless for the first time essentially in the majority of his career. I'm sure he's scratching his head inside that helmet right now.
And it shows how tough it is. I mean, a 10-year streak working. He gets out to a great start here, and that's exactly what he needs to do as we go back a little deeper. On board with Speedco and Ben Evans.
Well, this is interesting to watch Johnson because he flat annihilated everybody here a year ago. I mean, he ran off and was in a different zip code. I think he had his helmet off in the pits before second came across for the checkered flag. That's how bad he beat him, and here he is struggling to get in the main event. Not so much at this point in time, but seems to have a good handle on it here in the second semi. But what a change from a year ago.
Doug Lawrence in second place right now, and then we'll see we have a battle there for third, but yeah, he is checked out for now, and that's exactly what Jake Johnson needs to do. He needs to get some confidence going here.
Yeah, the racing lady, Nicole Cheza, recently engaged to the number 9 of Jared Mees. These two like cushion tracks. Lawrence, a Canadian, grew up on pea gravel type tracks, as did Nicole Cheza. They like it when there's no rubber on the racetrack. They like it when you can hang their rear end out. Nicole
nice
makes a good run up the inside in the battle for second.
Boy, that was just a beautiful, smooth, textbook move. I mean, just backed out of it, carried the speed nice right around the bottom, and took the spot away.
You know, she got into turn 1 there nice and easy, didn't really pitch the bike too far sideways, got the wheels back in line real quick, rolled the thing on, let it step out a little bit. Riding really, really smooth around the bottom of the racetrack. It's certainly working for her.
And that is key, what you talked about, rolling on. I mean, you have to be so careful with that throttle.
You know, turning the throttle a lot of times like squeezing an egg. You know, if you get real aggressive with it, it's going to pop. But you angle it just right, you can squeeze it as hard as you want. It's not going to break. That's what she's doing with the throttle coming off the corner right now.
Great description there, and of course, a lot of seat time to develop that talent as well, to feel when that rear tire is starting to lose grip.
You know, I've always said I think the best racers in the world have this special electromagnetic thing that runs from their brain down to their wrist, and it goes back, and it ends in their rear end. And it's about getting a feel of the racetrack with the throttle.
Right? I mean, traction control, the manual style traction control. You know, you can run that throttle.
Yeah, there is no
tough break for her.
Nicole riding so well is. Obviously something happened with her motorcycle. That's a shame. She was certainly going to be in the feature tonight.
You can tell she was so comfortable out here on this track. That is a heartbreaker for sure, especially with all the work and preparation that goes into these teams.
Yeah, unfortunate as Jake Johnson with a lap to go has this one pretty well in hand. Looks like about a straightaway lead, about like how he won it a year ago.
I just say about like a year ago on the A main, right?
Yeah, and it was interesting to watch his line through 1 and 2 as compared to Nicole's earlier. Kind of ran it in low, let it drift up in the middle, turned the thing hard and came back off low. Totally different approach. Much higher in the corner, but about right here, it gets the thing turned, back down toward the bottom, straightens the bike up, and gets a good run. That's how he kicked their butts here a year ago, and that's what he's going to need to do in the main event, along with some bad luck from the 7 and the 9 for him to get a championship.
You're absolutely right. He'll be starting a good bit deeper, so he's got his work cut out for him, but he can put it together. Anything is possible out here. There's a look at your top 3, and Scott Baker will get in, courtesy of Nicole Chez's Heartbreaker.
Tough break for her.
Jake, congratulations on that win. I know that's not how you wanted to get into the main, but 2, that was on a different bike from the first heat.
Yeah, I mean, we were scratching our heads all day long, couldn't figure it out. You know, we flipped the bike upside down one way, the other way, and didn't really get much of a difference. So figured, heck, for that semi, we got nothing to lose. Let me try the other bike, and went out there in it. I mean, I haven't seen what the lap times look like, but that's the best I felt all day. Like I said, I got nothing to lose. You know, haven't won a race yet this year, so I mean, if I say I'm in contention there with 5 to go, look out, it might be win it or wear it. So.
So the main has been set up for the Grand National Tour here at Pomona. Of course, when we come back, we'll also bring you highlights of the Pro Singles main as well. Once again, we are back here at the E3 Sparkplugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Lucas Oil, the final event of the 2012 season. Ken Stout and Chris Carr calling the action for you. The main is set up, but the Pro Single main comes first. We're going to bring you highlights of that one right now, and Vandeker has been on a mission all year long, and Steven is going to lock up a championship here.
And there's no better track than the Pomona half mile. This is like a mini version of the Santa Rosa mile that Vandeker just wasted the competition on a couple of shows ago. This type of track, when we watch this kid on a 450 around this track, it's perfection.
Look at the competition, as this class always provides just great bar-to-bar action, and a big wreck right here that involves Cole Anderson and Ryan Burns. Cole Anderson, just as of late, has really been solid as well, finishing 4th and 3rd at Sonoma. Here's another look at it deep in the pack.
Yeah, hard to figure out how this happened. Oh, they get together. They got together and, to keep from running over, slammed on the brakes there, and high sides himself. I guess you end up paying the price, but it looks like they both got up pretty quickly there. Didn't quite make it to the outer barrier of the air fence.
And it can get difficult to see back there in the mid-pack as well, especially on a track like this. It's kicking up some roost.
Well, and the fine particles of this dirt here, it's not really clay. It's more sand and sawdust, and it's really organic type dirt here, really fine. And it gets up underneath those shields and gets in those eyes. Those eyes start to water. Vision gets even worse. Doesn't matter if you have tear-offs on. You won't be able to see because it feels like it got sandpaper in it.
McGuire, Calendris, just 2 of the 3 battling there, and unfortunately for James Monaco, he goes down, and that brings out the red flag.
Yeah, it's got to be a little frustrating for the riders up front. You know, here we 30s of Jason Eisenach out front.
And Eisenach second in the points, so having a run at this, I mean, I don't think he's going to beat Vandeker here, but it'd be nice to go out with some bragging rights.
Well, Vandeker got to kind of reset the race there for himself, and as I see him downshifting into the corner, he's running this thing in 2 gears. Downshifting to 4 through the corners, grabbing 5th down the straightaway. Unlike the twins where we see them pulling 1 gear all the way around, these high-revving 450s, they'll shift them on this size of track.
Also want to say that Shoemaker and Eisenach both qualified for every single pro single event here this year. That's pretty impressive.
They are definitely the cream of the crop in the pro singles class this year. Being able to do that every weekend is an accomplishment in itself. A lot of these younger riders from different parts of the country haven't seen tracks like this before, but they've certainly adapted well. As Vandeker running out front, not really too far out at the moment. Had a little hustle there toward the end, but he was comfortable the whole way. Victory wheelie for him, wrapping up his first championship in the AMA Pro Singles. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, solid effort for sure. Congratulations. We'll see if he steps up 1 class next season. Shayna Texter also with a solid season as well. Finished out of the top 10 there. All right, so the main is set up, and there's a look at a guy that has a shot at the championship. That, of course, is Sammy Halbert. We've been talking about him all night long. Jared Mees is currently in the points lead. And, you know, it was Sammy who did such a great job even a year ago. I mean, he did an awesome job as he led for the longest time, but unfortunately was not able to capitalize on that points lead for the better part of the season and turn it into a championship.
Yeah, he's chasing tonight. And I think the best thing that Halbert can do is get out front early and put the pressure on Mees. Let Mees see him marching away. We saw that Jared was struggling earlier in the race. I think for the most part, coming from the 3rd row, Jake Johnson is pretty much out of the hunt here. But Sammy needs to get out front, and he needs to go hard, he needs to go fast, and he needs to put the pressure on Jared to stay with him.
4 wins under his belt so far this season. That's more than anybody else in the category. 8 podiums coming in here, so he's been very consistent as well. He's going to have to put it together here tonight, though, and he's going to need a little bit of luck there, Kenny Sargent.
Guys, the key to tonight's race is basically how close can Sammy Halbert keep it within Jared Mees. Well, Sammy's got a great head start because Mees is back on the 2nd row. Jake Johnson back on the 3rd row. Sammy on the front row, just 2 sides in. As you see Sammy Halbert, perfect scenario. If he wins the race and Jared finishes in the 3rd spot, Sammy has the most laps led. Well, they tie for the championship, but Sammy takes the championship with the most wins. Fellas, let's go racing and find out.
How big is that deficit to start on the back row?
On this track here, it's huge. Starting on the 2nd row, get around the inside. First part of this corner right here. That's a good run for Jared on the number 9. He's looking like he's top 4 or 5. It's a short way around. Takes a lot longer to get going around the outside. Great start by Jared Mees, running 4th down the backstretch as the 2 of Kenny Coolbeth runs it off into turn 3. Picks up where he left off in his heat race. Looking pretty good.
Oh, we've got 2 down.
Oh, the 17 of Wiles is down.
Wiles, the 2009 champ here for this race.
That's going to most likely bring out the red flag as the 98 of Cale Kolkman picks his bike up. You know, I'm really glad to see the air fence here in Cale's case. I mean, I can only imagine. I know what's behind that. It's just regular guardrails, and that would have been painful.
Let's see if we can find out what happened here. We kind of lost him in the dust storm, and we saw 2 people go down. It was difficult to see who it was right there, all by himself.
It looks like a couple riders got together there in the back with Wiles going down, and Cale Kolkman really had nowhere to go but to avoid Henry Wiles. Did a good job of keeping running him over, took the wide line and laid it down into the air fence.
We'll see if they can get that thing fired back up. Hopefully it's not terminal. He can get back in the game here. Wiles always a player at Pomona. So a wreck unfortunately regroups the field here at the E3 Spark Plugs AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals presented by Lucas Oil. So we'll regroup them all one more time and get them restarted.
And I would bet that Jared Mees would take a carbon copy of that first start to get up there in the top 4 from the second row on the first lap.
And Sammy Halbert got off to a couple of tough starts, of all things. Has managed to recover both times, but they just drive away from him at the initial hit.
That's not the kind of start you want to get, as they're jockeying for position down the backstretch at 27. Robbie Pearson up front. It's been a while, if not his entire career, since he's led a Grand National race. Off into turn 3 with the 2 of Coolbeth around the outside, coming off of turn 4. They're going to have to keep this kid in his sights right here. The former Grand National champion 3 times looks very comfortable tonight. That does not bode well for our championship contenders to see that number 2 march in the distance.
Yeah, when he gets on his game, he is so tough to beat. And you talked about him making that comeback as well. As we go on board with Brad Baker, you talked about how tough he was just 1 year ago, and he has been solid all night as well. Great onboard shot there, by the way.
I'd love to see him take that shot with a steel shoe, skimming the dirt, as the 42 of Brian Smith, one of our semifinal winners there, marches around the outside of Halbert.
Oh,
and
massive
wow.
hit. Sammy Halbert just slid right up and banged him.
He just flat banged the old Mees. I got to look at that again.
Is that why they call him Slammin' Sammy?
I'd like to see that one. Holy cow.
I can't believe both of those guys stayed vertical on the bikes. I mean, and it's amazing that they're still racing here as well. Another look at it, and man, I mean, he bangs him hard. I've got to think that's borderline intentional.
You know, it looks like Halbert straightened up in the middle of the corner and aimed his rear wheel at Jared. That's what I see. And, you know, there'll be some people out there that won't have any love lost for Jared after some of the antics he pulled early in the season, too. So some people will say, you know, he had it coming. But I hate seeing that kind of riding, especially when you're trying to win a championship.
So tough racing here in this final round. The number 7 of Sammy Halbert does get the position, is out front. And then, of course, really all Jared Mees has to do is keep him in his sights.
Yeah, I would just follow that green number 7 around right there and not press the issue. After that last incident, I'd say go have fun.
Jake Johnson well back in the pack. As you can see, he is still struggling. Keep in mind, he started deep as he came out of the semifinal. Has a lot of work to do to get up to the front and keep that 10-year streak alive.
Yeah, I think at this stage of the game, Jake is looking at this as a lost cause for a championship. It's have next year for.
There's a look at your speed code. Top 5. We'll be right back. No shortage of excitement, as you might expect. You're on board with Brad Baker and Canada Natural Pet Foods here at Pomona. Final round for the AMA Pro Flat Track Nationals.
Looks like the best race on the track at the moment. Baker and Smith. You know, Smith coming from the 3rd row. This is an impressive run. Brad Baker, again, doing well here at Pomona. And Brian, when this was a non-AMA Grand National, won a race or 2 here around the Pomona Fairplex as well. So these guys certainly know how to get around this racetrack. As here we see Mees running right up the inside of Halbert.
Any chance for some payback?
Well, I wouldn't run the risk if I were Jared. I mean, he can just stay where he's at. But
if the door's open?
If the door's open, I'd say get by and get away. That's what I would do. He's got to be scared to death after what happened earlier. But it looks like
racers, man. I mean, you know, that's what it's all about. It's just inside the blood.
Yeah, I don't think Jared needs to press the issue here. But, you know, if it's going to be easy to get back by him, you know, maybe Halbert's struggling here. He's slowing down on the straightaway. I mean, Jared just put 4 bike links on him going by. Something's going on with Halbert's motorcycle at the moment. And here he is trying to.
Tell me he's not trying to set him up again, please.
Maybe that was the case. I don't know. He's way off the pace now as you see him backing off. He's certainly got an issue with the motorcycle here, and no telling what's going on with that. Could have gone on one cylinder, could have a clutch going out, anything, but it's certainly not going very fast in a straight line.
The number 95 of J.D. Beach also there as well. Currently in 6th place. He was right there in the middle of that mix for a moment.
Yeah, good run for J.D. Beach. And interesting thing about this kid is, you know, he's a He rides a Red Bull Yamaha in the road race series, and here he is on a Kawasaki in the AMA Grand National, doing a good job.
Kenny?
Issues with Sammy Halbert's engine, not quite sure what's going on. Down the cylinder, can't tell standing here on the sidelines, but the bike is definitely not running up to par. As you can see, Sammy Halbert dropping back.
So tough break. His run for the championship is all but over as it stands right now. Of course, never over till that checkered flag waves, but he is going the wrong direction.
Yeah, it looked like the bike ran pretty good that time down the straightaway. You know, it could be something as simple as, you know, dirt in a carburetor. You know, that happens with these bikes. You know, the right leg of the rider is wrapping over 2 carburetors out the side of those XR 750s. And, you know, there's a lot of spray on a track like this. The bike appears to be running okay at the moment. But, you know, it's a tough break to see your championship slip through your fingers now. As that 9 gets smaller in front of him, certainly his championship hopes are vanishing.
Jared Mees, who's been so consistent all year long, is looking to finish this one up. He's been on the podium 10 times this year. Only 1 win, but he's pounding around there in the top 3 all season long. And that's stuff championships are made of. And Kenny Coolbeth Jr., well, we've been focused on this championship the entire race, but Kenny is driving away. It looks a lot like a year ago when Jake Johnson just dominated this race. Kenny Coolbeth is laying him out.
You know, he's so far in front right now. These guys here probably feel like they're racing for the win. They can't even see him. That's how far out front he is. Over a straightaway lead. Good battle here for second between Brad Baker and Brian Smith. These guys are going at it. It's interesting, 2 totally different types of motorcycles. Way out deep in the cushion. Rooster tails going up. As the leader, we saw when Coolbeth was in our frame, he was running way up high too. The fastest guys around tonight are running at 3/4 of the way up in the cushion. 5th, 6th, 7th, those guys are just kind of nursing it around here through the middle, hitting a little bit of the holes here and there, tiptoeing, so to speak. The guys hauling the mail out front are running it in high and deep and grabbing a handful.
Yeah, Kenny's just doing an awesome job. I mean, it's amazing as much as we watch this stuff and how close this racing can be. To see one guy check out on this group of talent is nothing short of exceptional.
You know, and we've seen it a lot at this racetrack. History has shown lots of big wins here, big margins of victory. Coolbeth is, I didn't expect to see that from him here on this racetrack, but he's doing a fantastic job. Just laying waste to him.
A good look at that number 9. He is looking for a championship. He's just got to stay aboard that thing for a few more laps. Stay with us. The closing laps of the final round. You're taking a look at the number 9. That is Jared Mees here at the Fairplex in Pomona. This is the E3 Sparkplugs Pro AMA Flat Track Nationals presented by Lucas Oil. And the 2004 Rookie of the Year is trying to close out on his first Grand National Championship. The white flag flies. He's just got to keep it clean for 1 more lap.
Yeah, as Coolbeth, you see the glowing red rear disc brake. That's typical of Kenny Coolbeth on just about any racetrack. He rides the rear brakes really hard through the corners. But Jared Mees, he's got to be nervous as heck right now. He's got a great battle right behind him. He certainly doesn't want to get in the middle of it. I would think he'd want to get across the line as safely as possible. As Kenny Coolbeth, just a great dominating performance. If there's anybody you could give the Comeback of the Year award to, it would be Kenny Coolbeth, winning 2 nationals this year after breaking his leg halfway through the season. Great finish, and as we see that battle, 3 guys go by Jared on the last lap, but he knows it. He knows the championship's his. Hand raised in the air going in the corner after the checkered flag. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Jared Mees. Right back there, Henry Wiles just in front of him. So Henry making a nice comeback as well after that incident early on. And of course, we have to congratulate Kenny Coolbeth Jr. for that number 9 bike, man. Talk about a battle and a very sketchy incident in the middle of this final round. They could have changed everything.
I can imagine Jared was probably holding his breath for the last 5 or 6 minutes of that event. He can certainly grab a deep breath now as he's Grand National Champion for the first time.
And Brad Baker, another solid showing here. Brian Smith using the Kawasaki on the half mile, finishes on the podium as well.
Yeah, Kenny Coolbeth, congrats to him. That was a fantastic finish to the 2012 season. I think he's hoping the winter will get over real quick and get a good start on 2013.
Right, that's some great momentum to pick up 2013 with as he takes his victory lap.
Jared Mees, 2012 flat track champion. Congratulations on that one, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It feels really good. I don't know what to say. I'm just beside myself. The last 3 or 4 laps, man, I just seen them guys coming, and I just moved right out of the way. I didn't want to get tangled with anybody. I knew Sammy was way behind me, or whatever happened there. I knew I had some cushion. So I just moved up, let him go. I didn't care where I finished. I just wanted that number 1 plate.
When the checkered flags dropped, I saw you go by the start-finish line. That right hand went up in the air, and it looked like a right hand of relief, and dang it, I did it.
I can't believe it. I owe it all to the team. It did an amazing job this year. Just really, really wanted it pulled through. I just I don't know what to say, really. I want to thank my team, Craig Rogers, Rogers Lace Racing. That man is like my second father, man. I love that guy. Everybody just for doing a great job. I really appreciate it.
What a solid effort out of him all season long.
A nice hug from his fiancée, Nicole Cheza there. But here's the winner of the day, Kenny Coolbeth Jr. Spanks him. Great
There's
job.
a look at the point standings from General Tire. Just 13, the difference between first and second. And it looked like it was going to be a much less than that. Jake Johnson, the 2-time champ, finishes up in third.
Kenny Coolbeth Jr., with that win, you put a huge exclamation point on what we are to expect for 2013. That is a big win. That is a monster win on the half mile.
Yeah, it's great. You know, we needed this. It's crunch time, and you know, we need to go through the winter feeling good about ourselves. And you know, I rode my heart out, and these guys worked their butts off on this motorcycle all day to make it better. Even after the heat race, like I said, we made it better after the heat race. And you know, Mike Hacker, Mike Bugner doing the suspension, Craig Logger doing the engine. It's an awesome package that we have. We just need time. With my injury during this year, it kind of sucked, but you know, we're back, and it's good. I want to thank Harley-Davidson Motor Company for giving me this awesome opportunity.
Congratulations to Kenny Coolbeth Jr. getting it done here at Pomona. Hey, you can check us out at lucasoil.com, like us on Facebook, or hit us up on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. Another exciting season in the books, Chris.
It was a fantastic season. Great to watch. Action like that, how can you not like flat track?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. That's it, 16 rounds in the books, 12 different venues. We'll give them just a few weeks off, and of course it all starts again in 2013. For Kenny Sargent, Chris Carr, I'm Ken Stout. Thanks for watching the AMA Grand National Championship Series.